Today on Black Popcorn, we're going to talk about the 50 South African refugees that Donald Trump allowed into the country, basically because they white. We can't say anything else about that one. He can't tell us that he felt that they were in jeopardy of being killed, because if you use that as a scale or a way to judge it, you could look around the world and we should be opening the floodgates. There's all kind of people, and some people, in my honest opinion, who we may be putting out of this country. They may be going back to a place that may put them in danger or whatever. So if he's willing to deport on under those conditions, then he should not be just accepting a small group of immigrants or refugees from South Africa, and they're in the ruling class. They own land. They have money. They're allowed to live in places where the natives of that country aren't, and they get saved. If there's a conflict, Donald Trump should have been able to go in and have a look at that and say, nah, I can't. Come on now. But beyond that, he did have close ties and has close ties with Elon Musk. And Elon Musk has close ties with the United States government before Trump. He didn't just start getting these contracts and from the United States government with Trump, but he probably gave him a call. I would think it would be pretty likely that he gave him a call, or when he was working with them was like, hey, because apparently this was going on for 3 months. They knew it was coming down the pipeline. We just finding out because he signed the executive order, and there's no need to try to hide it, try to hit it head on and give us your story and move on to another news cycle. And maybe some people will buy it and go, yeah, the blacks over there are going to just come in and murder them. And they might. But it's a condition over there that needs to be solved. There's a problem over there they got that needs to be solved. If you came into a person's homeland and you've already, since you've been there, been just sucking the resources out of the land, and everything that you do favors you and not them, and then even in the modern times, there's black presidents in South Africa, starting with Nelson Mandela, and what is happening? Why aren't the laws changed where the blacks can move into the areas wherever they want to live? It's their native land, and the whites have to live amongst them if they choose to continue to live there. But to call them refugees because there is going to be natural violence going in both directions, especially with the the darn small ruling class being the most backed up by England and France and Denmark and Germany and America and Canada and any other white country is going to back them. And now that Trump has deemed these people to be refugees, is the United States going to break ties with South Africa? Because when it was favoring a white ruling class, in the United States opinion, we were close allies. There was our friends, and that's why we're doing what we're doing right now. But if you solve that problem by moving the white South Africans over to America, or getting involved in some other way to ensure their safety, well, then what goes on after that? That to get it to intervene like that is a little unorthodox, and I think a big overreach by Donald Trump. But I thought personally when Biden did it with the Ukrainians, I was like, I know that they had been attacked. I get it. And I'm not saying I don't even believe all of the stories about the South Africans. If I was a South African landowner and farmer and affluent, I'd be a little nervous that one night you could wake up to violence, or your house and windows being busted and all kind of things happening to you and your family. I totally get it, without a doubt. But it's still, if you rewind the clock and you realize that you are on the land that is these people's ancestral land, is their native land, you're in their country, and you're calling the shots, And like I was about to say earlier, I just don't understand how after apparently apartheid ended, they say, how are the black people still living in those conditions? How are the black people still being locked out of having access to the resources and the money that's coming out of the land? How is the government makeup so much different than it was under apartheid, but the results are still the same? How can that government not? Is something going on over in South Africa that really needs to be changed? Are they still living under apartheid like we are over here in the United States? Is it some kind of little secret that goes on that everybody out from, from now, oh, wow, it's a good thing that apartheid's over in South Africa. They're good now, and they move on. Well, the truth of the matter is, and now it's to the point where the small white ruling class is in jeopardy, to the point of where this executive order that Trump signed allowed them to come into the country and in short order, which means that he's willing to do that again, and he's willing to do that for white people that he deemed to be refugees, but not to send his folks out and look around the world at special cases and special causes and try to rescue some of the other folks who are catching hell in the world and bring them to the United States and give them an opportunity. Hell, go over on the South African side where the blacks live and let a significant portion of them come over here. Some of those people would love the opportunities and the chance to come to America and live within the United States, just like the white South Africaners are doing. But it's a story that's definitely gonna invoke argument and disagreement, and everybody probably feels like they have to. But the bottom line is this: it's so hard to see a country that has operated so racist as the United States get involved and on the side of another country that's oppressing a bunch of black people. It just is such of a horrible look. And then the people who run our government on both sides will tell you during their campaigns and speeches that this is fundamentally not a racist country. And the man in the White House is making moves and behaving this way. But we are fundamentally not a racist country. It's hard to tell that to people. But anyway, let's get into this video and we'll get back and talk about it.
Now, this week, a group of 59 white South Africans arrived in the US where they've been granted refugee status. President Donald Trump says the refugee applications were expedited because they're victims of racial discrimination. The South African government denies this. Afrikaners settled in South Africa nearly 4 centuries ago and led the apartheid movement there. Usually it takes years for the government.
I'm sorry, but the way she said the Afrikaners settled in South Africa like over 4 centuries ago, but she should finish that up by saying, there were some people there already. It ain't like they just settled there and it was empty. That was kind of incomplete.
To process refugees, this group waited just 3 months. Let's go to our North America correspondent, Namia Iqbal, now, who has been speaking exclusively to one of these men who is resettling in Buffalo, New York. Namia, what did he have to say?
This is the first time we've heard from one of those Afrikaners that is now seen as a refugee here in America. Charles Kleinhaus is 46 years of age. He comes from a beautiful province in South Africa, a lovely farmland, and now he lives in a budget hotel near a highway with his 2 children and very young grandson. So the change in life could not be starker, but he said to me that he had to do it for safety reasons. Mr. Kleinhaus has also come under particular scrutiny given that old posts of his, which are anti-Jewish, have been found, and has led to all these questions about were these people properly vetted, as refugees often are. The Department of Homeland Security said to us today they were vetted. Nonetheless, it has raised these questions, and Mr. Kleinhaus defended those posts to me, but he also defended his right, as he sees it, to be here in America as a refugee.
And he does. He feels like he has that right. They are white people from South Africa. They identify with white people from the United States. As soon as they have a couple of months over here, unless they have really thick accents And from far away, you won't even be able to tell. Are they whites from America? Are they ones from South Africa? You won't be able to tell them apart. And they'll fit right in pretty quickly. But the worst fit in, and that will be really quick, is the level of racism that they probably have, and then will rival that of what we're dealing with here in America in our white population in general. And it needs to be going out and not coming in. Trump's making it worse. I am totally in agreement with not having illegal immigrants in this country. But I am totally against just letting your friends in just because Elon Musk said, hey, let these people in. They could be people who are losing their farm for all we know. They could be people who have crops that ain't selling or have dried up, or we don't know what their true reason is. It could be because they're afraid. Hey, I'm scared. Shit, they might kill me because of how we've come into this country and this has come to be. But I don't know if getting moved to the front of the line is the answer, though. Because you got a whole lot of people all over the world who would be side-eyeing that one and like, wait a minute now. That don't make sense.
Refugee.
If you're white, you're wrong in South Africa. You're a land thief. You are a racist. The whole time it's being told, and there is racist white people, plenty of them.
You say you're not a racist white person?
No, not at all. I've got many black friends. I think I've got more African black men as friends as white friends.
When they say that, you gotta watch them. Oh, some of my best friends are black. Why would you have to say it? If you're not racist, you're not racist. You don't have to have any black friends. But that doesn't mean that you don't like black people or that you don't respect them. Because you don't have to be racist and you don't have to really like black people. You just don't do anything to harm them. And that's the thing. When you actively do things to harm them, when you actively have an opportunity to just be fair and you're not. And that's the problem, and that's what we're up against. We're like right now, it's not up to Trump to do what he did. It's up to Congress to do that. But if Donald Trump does it and Congress doesn't say anything and they sit on their hands and allow him to do that, and they are the party in the majority that has that job and they relinquish it and let the president do it, who's going to fight? The Democrats have to win elections before they can say shit. They can't say anything. They have to just shut up and hopefully rile the crowd up and do something in these midterms that's coming up. But there's nothing they can do. And that has got to be one of the worst places in the world to be in, is in a super minority. But I guess that wouldn't be the word. It wouldn't be super. But the minority. The president, the Senate, and the House. It must be a terrible place to be. And I'm seeing some real bad behavior out of the Democrats right now as a result of being in the minority. There has to be more effective ways to fight this, to counteract a president like Donald Trump that you disagree with on every front. If you don't agree with any of his policies, there has got to be a better way. You can turn people off with that type of a fight as opposed to a coherent message and some admit. I haven't heard anybody admit guilt, admit the issue and how we're going to move past it and step over it. And nobody. Everybody just act like it's business as usual. We're going to keep on rolling. That's the worst thing we can do right now. To have South Africans coming over here as refugees let's just get mad for the right reason. I mean, we got people who live in Chicago who are afraid, who live in Los Angeles who are afraid of a whole lot of races, but who are citizens of this country, in New York. And they don't make them refugees. They don't give them special privileges or housing or move them out of that area that they might feel threatened in and put them somewhere safe. And they're United States citizens. What is going on with the United States that we just keep reaching out to the rest of the world and extending our hand here and here and there and there. I don't feel any warmer toward these South African refugees than I do the refugees that come in from the South, because I know all of those people aren't refugees and all of those people aren't living in the worst conditions. It's more of a choice than a necessity. And there are people, but it makes it so much harder for the people who really do need it, like in this case with the South African whites. Now look how many more other people who really are starving or are in warlike conditions and that they have no control or no power over, who could really use a hand up and a hand out. But we keep worldwide helping the folks who need it the least. The Democrats are guilty of exploiting low wages, letting the people come in from the South so they can work illegally, knowing that they're breaking the laws of the United States government. They're not working properly. The proper taxes, the proper documentation isn't being taken and done, and our government is allowing that. So we need to look at this immigration thing wholeheartedly, from beginning to end and end to beginning, and not because we like these people better than those people or any of that kind of stuff. Because right now what Donald Trump is doing is just pure racism. That's just to be as firm and clear on your message as far as immigration goes, and then to turn around just 4 months into your presidency and let these folks cut the line. There's no justification for that.
Tired of being told, just because I'm white, I'm a thief. Just because I'm white, I'm wrong in this. I had nothing to do with apartheid. Nothing, nothing, nothing.
Is there...
They sound just like Americans. Had nothing to do with slavery. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Nothing, nothing. That's just what they say over here. The exact same thing. You had nothing to do with it, but you are living on a ranch that you own. You have property. You have a home. You have a family. You have money. Had money. We're in the ruling class in South Africa. And you're sitting here sounding like a victim. Have you ever went over to where the blacks live? Have you ever seen their communities, the inside of their houses, their checks when they get them? And you're complaining. In their land, on their land, because it's a rich land. It's a rich place to live. So you guys decided to live there and take the wealth and exclude the people who were native there when you came. That's just so much of a colonizer mentality that is just carried. And then they we don't, if you don't think you're reaping any benefits, how do you think all those laws favor white people in South Africa? Do you think that just happened by chance, mister? And he thinks people are going to look at this interview and feel bad for him? Oh, gosh, I hope he gets to move to our community. He'd be a great neighbor.
Is there anything specific that's happened, Charles, that made you think, I've got to get out of here? I've got to leave?
After the death rates and stuff and my machinery being cut up, and I'm still, after reporting everything to the police, not getting any protection or anything like that. The only thing that's left on my farm is a sign that says mining area. All the fences has been taken off. Boom gates has been broken off.
There are voices out there, including the South African president, who has called you cowards.
Yeah.
You've got other Afrikaners who are saying that you're not refugees, you're opportunists, that you've abandoned the country. What would you say?
I agree. I don't know what the hell he gonna say, but I agree. That's exactly what they are. They're opportunists. They obviously, somebody out of those 50 or someone closely affiliated knows Elon Musk or has a channel to him, and they were able to get a word out, and he's able to speak to Trump on it, and boom. And this is not something that just happened. They said they applied for these refugee status 3 months ago. So this has been in the works pretty much from the early days of his presidency. And they pop it on us right now, and it look like a brand new news cycle, but it's really not. And it's bad that this is the United States. 'Cause that's a representative of the United States. And that doesn't represent us very well. When you have citizens in this country who need something close to what would be considered refugee status, homeless folks, people running from gangs in this country, people living in horrible conditions in this country. Where's their refugee status? That's a horrible thing. And they're talking about the House is interested in cutting benefits. Any kind of benefits to citizens of this country should not be cut, but should be transferred into a viable way that we can not rely on the government. We know we cannot rely on the government when it comes to our health care. We know this. And if we do, it ain't going to be the best. It's going to be second or third rate. So we need something to start up soon to transition us into something that makes it better for people as far as health care goes, and without relying on the government. And Donald Trump, this is just par for the course, is what he do. That's what he's been doing. And it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. He has such good support and so many people who really are pulling for him, and he makes it hard for him. He make it very difficult to try to support him on some of his decisions that are questionable or have not completely developed. Trying to give him a little bit of support, and look what he go and do. He make it so difficult to support him because he all over the place, because he got a lot of people with their hand in his pocket trying to get things back for what they did leading up to and helping him get elected. So he's right now, kind of paying back some folks. So we're going to see some more of this, I believe.
To those people,
I had to leave a 5-bedroom house, which I will lose now because I'm not going to pay for it, behind, my car behind, my dogs behind, my mother behind. It is not, I didn't come here for fun, but my children are safe.
what was it?
Damn. It's nice to have the ability to say it as clearly and as strongly as he just, my children are safe. That's what anybody wants. That's what so many other people around the world who are potentially way more deserving than those folks. And at this particular time. But damn, he doesn't realize how privileged he sounds.
Like when you got off the shuttle bus and came into that hangar and were greeted by the Trump administration?
It was overwhelming. I didn't expect that because I thought we're going to be in a shuttle bus, taken somewhere, and we will start working. All of us that is there, we know we're going to start here from the bottom because we are the new people here. We're going to start from the bottom.
Yeah, he don't mind starting from the bottom. Their bottom ain't our bottom. They're going to be known when they go look for jobs if they ain't already got the hookup. They got Elon Musk who has gotten them where they need to be. I'm sure they got some business hookups for them. It's a wonderful thing to come to a country and it's about to get pretty good for you. Start at the bottom and work our way. Yeah, right. You catch up with most of those folks in about 3 years. They're going to be doing pretty good. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to come into this country and just flourish like that. It's rough to sit back and watch that continuously happen again and again and again in front of your eyes. It's a little rough to watch, but it's something. It lets you know that it's possible, though.
Do you ever worry that you might be caught up in some big political game here? That you're a pawn somehow?
Yeah, it's a scary thing, but people mustn't think we're just taking advantage of this. We're coming here to make a contribution to the country.
Old tweets of yours have been dug up in which you appear to have made anti-Semitic comments, and so people are questioning, should you be here?
Yeah,
what would you say to that?
I would like them...
What would you like to clarify?
I've deleted the comment, but I was actually thinking I should have not deleted it. If you can look where I commented on, it was Passover, the Orthodox Jews, and I'm Christian. We're spitting and screaming and bumping Christians walking with the cross. For me as a Christian, that is not acceptable.
Yeah, and he just getting here. Wait till he been here a minute. He gonna be a handful. I can see that now. He ain't biting his tongue now. But you know what? This guy here is gonna be a problem, and maybe not on a national scale, and we may never hear from him again. But there's some folks that's going to deal with that little personality right there, and he has to have a feeling of privilege because of how and who he was in South Africa, being in the upper echelon of the people in their power structure over there, and then being plucked out of there and into the United States just because the temperature got a little warm for you one day. And you say, you know what? Let's see what it's like in America. That easy. And you're on your way. There's so many people who really probably wouldn't even be able to sit down and do an interview because they might need medical care or food and not be in such good health with hoodies and Pendleton shirts on like those folks were looking, with healthy looking kids with dimples. It's just a terrible thing what racism can bring out in a country, not just in a person, but in an entire country. That as a whole, that's our representation. That's what the president of our United States chooses to do. And people say, oh, they all have. They all have. All of our presidents. And to think that they're the quickest people to say, hey, I didn't own no slaves. Hey, I didn't. Just like that man said. They all say that. But the bottom line is, you're reaping the benefits. And you're still trying to do everything in your power to keep the colonizers a leg up on everybody. Networking across the globe. And that's really very unfortunate for the rest of us.
In Israel, and I went and I said something on Twitter, which I copy and pasted from somebody else's page, because if you go read my post, you'll see it's not the way I write.
So you had quoted someone else. I mean, the quotes...
I copied and pasted it.
The quotes were anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
They said Jews are dangerous people, they're untrustworthy, they're not God's chosen people.
I was super angry too.
So you did it out of anger?
Yeah. And I was in hospital at that point of time. I was on morphine. But that's not an excuse. I'm not trying to make an excuse.
Do they?
Even now, if I would see any person going against my religion, I will speak up against it.
You have high hopes being here in America. Is there a part of you that is anxious that it might not work out?
No, to be honest with you, because of my belief, I believe this is God's plan for me.
Man, it must be nice. Just feel like it's God's plan. It's just what he wanted for us good old white folk. God damn. Must be nice. But I tell you folks, I looked at this story and I just was like, for 3 days I've been working on this video because it's a very difficult one to talk about, because it's happening over here and we're worried about over there. And sometimes I feel we get a little distracted, and some of the news cycles, they just go so fast and they take us away from where we really need to be in some cases. I think this is one of those cases. I believe that 50 people coming in from South Africa in the grand scheme of things doesn't mean very much. But the intent behind it and the potential for a president or a country of ours. I mean, I feel the same way, though. I'm telling you about that Ukrainian situation. I just feel that Biden could have been more open to letting in. And nobody likes to let the refugees from South Africa in, or the black ones, because they are being refused a normal life over there in their own native land. I mean, how do you fix that? That's something the UN should go in. If that was the other way around, like Trump, sound like Trump, if that was the other way around. If that was the other way around, can you imagine a small minority of blacks going into a country that was 100% white and taking over the resources, taking over the best parts of the land, and sequestering the other people to small, messed up parts of the land, bumpy, broken up gravel rock pits? I mean, I don't know. I just think that if we was going to get involved as a country, we'd get involved and make it right, and not get involved and just make it worse than it was before we even touched it. And now it's even worse. It's a horrible thing. And there's so much stuff going on around the globe. And, I don't know. We're in a very interesting place. The way we're fighting over here as a country, and Trump, the way he's kind of moving real fast, 4 years. It is what it is. I really wish that something could be done to make our immigration problem better than it is, and take some of the racism out of that, and some of the look at Congress sitting back, allowing Donald Trump to do that without saying, whoa, 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 sir. Public talk, say, hey, he must just be disrespecting them. He cannot be getting their approval on all of this stuff before he does it. That's disrespect. He could be like, hey, check it out. This is you guys' call, but I just want to let you know what I would like to do. And they'd be like, sir, that we have no problem with that. If the Republicans, I'm sorry, I think I said Democrat. If the Republicans find out later and don't get mad, then we have no reason to be mad, because they are truly the one. I have had friends who have done things before, and I'll be like, hey, and they go, yeah, man, I know you wouldn't at work. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I know you know what you're doing, or I'm supposed to do that for you, but you got it. And no, making no habit, but I get it. And that's where I just don't know where Donald Trump is trying to take this. He does not make it better in this country as far as the racial division, though, and as far as the emboldening of white people. The worst thing he did with pardoning the January 6th people was just embolden them, or anybody who feels that was a movement and not a riot or whatever else they want to call it. But it was just an unlawful act until he pardoned them. Once he pardoned them, he made that a movement. He made that something that will be written into the history books in a positive way in some years down the line, once the history books are written. They'll have a bunch of lies in them, but that will be one that will be looked at as a mini attempt at a revolution. But then it's going to be written about favorably, in my opinion, as we look back on, historically on it, because we're looking at it as some kind of crime as well. They've been pardoned. There go the crime part out of it. They were doing it in the name of a president who says he was being cheated. He has a lot of power. He sends markets up and down and soaring. He gets people out of a country that, get them a free trip to America and some residency over here if they want it. He has so much power. He wields so much power. And you wonder sometimes if he really is aware of that, or if he's just reckless. Because he's reckless. Jesus. But fasten your seatbelt. Pick your fight. Focus in on it and stay on it. Don't be all over the place like he is. He'll come back to wherever your argument or your fight is. But he got a whole lot of other fires to put out. And be patient and stay the course. And we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn. Like, comment, share, and please subscribe.